Hey guys, Greg here. Just want to put out an apology right at the beginning. This one's going to go a little long because we have a ton of games we want to talk about from our CabinCon excursion. So let's get started.
Welcome to the 85th episode of the Meeple Society, a podcast about board games hosted by two longtime role players turned avid board gamers. My name is Katie.
I'm Greg.
On this episode, we are back from a fun-filled long weekend of gaming in the Shenandoah Valley. We'll talk about all the games we played, our favorites, the ones that fell flat, the ones that had us in deep concentrations, and the ones that sparked the most laughter. But first, Greg has a few questions that are designed to make me think entirely too hard this early on a Saturday morning.
So what sparked this is that the nominations for the Origins Awards are out,
Okay.
and the nominations for the Board Game Geek Golden Globes are out, or Golden Geeks are out.
Okay.
So I was like, why not ask some questions to our listeners, the couple that are there, and see what we thought too, and get their thoughts.
Their thoughts? Okay.
So the first one I had is, what is your best game that you've ever played? Now, we do a top 100 every year, but it doesn't have to be your number one game. This could have been the game that was your favorite that you've ever played in your life.
Which would stand to reason being your top, at least
Not
in
always,
your top 10.
Because mine's not.
But see, okay, so when I first read this, I could not come up with a single game. My brain did not go to my favorite game. It went to the best experience.
Right. Yeah.
And there are so many.
What game did you play that you think it was just the greatest experiment?
Okay.
Experiment.
Experience. And, okay, again, we've been gaming for 12 years
20,
now.
yeah.
Actively gaming in the hobby
I
for
almost
12
said 20.
years
I was
now.
like, oh, God, no.
No,
we
not
haven't.
yet.
Well, role-playing has been longer than that, but...
Well, yes, and role-playing is a whole different subject because that could be an all-day discussion on our
Yes.
favorite
Anyway.
games. But the first thing my brain went to, and I'm just going to go with my first instinct, is the stuff we've been doing with Role Player Adventures. I have had so much fun with just the conversations that has sparked and the discussions and the debates
Yeah.
that has created between the four of us. And I know it's probably what the game is designed to do. That's the whole point of that type of a game, is to create those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been having a great time with those. So I'm going to go with Role Player Adventures.
Okay. That's kind of funny because one of the players in that game besides the two of us is also in my favorite
Okay.
game experience. And that was the first time we played Pandemic.
Oh.
It was like, wait, games do this?
That's true. That is a very good point.
And it was all of us always like, oh, nope, stop. Okay, we lost. Okay, let's rack it back up. Let's do it again because I have other ideas. And it was just trying to beat that game, which I don't think we ever did that night.
We did not that night, no.
But just finding out that there are board games out there that's not Monopoly, not
Yes.
Scrabble, not Sorry, not Life.
Yeah, that was
I
our
mean, it
first
was like,
experience with it. Yeah.
What is this we are playing? And how are we playing a game
That has no
as
clear...
a team and the
Yeah.
game itself is beating us? How is this happening? Who came up with this concept? It's what got us to where we're at now.
Yeah, it
And I
really
thought
is.
That it was a really cool experience to basically find out there's a whole hobby of
Yeah.
board gaming.
Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know that story, within a week we had bought the game.
Yeah.
We had gone to Toys R Us, tells you how long ago that was, and bought the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that started what is currently our
12-year
entirely
adventure.
too large collection.
Yeah. So, the second question is, favorite simple board game that never gets bored of, that you never get bored of?
Okay, this one I literally had to walk into the game room and just start looking around.
Oh, I knew just as soon as I seen the question.
Well, see, no. Okay, so what is yours? You go first.
Carcassonne.
Carcassonne, okay.
Because it's so simple to play.
Yes.
And if somebody breaks it out, I'm willing to play it. Because, it has all kinds of different expansions
Yeah.
that tweaks the game just a little bit. And we've played with all of them at one point. which was
At
an
once.
insane game because we had like 7 or 8 players.
Yeah,
It
something
was
like
crazy.
that. It was crazy.
It's the same game, but with just that little tweak, though.
Yeah.
But I never get tired of playing it.
Okay. All right. Mine was one of two things. My eyes immediately went to two different games. Summer camp. I love the theme. I love deck builders. It's so easy to teach. It's so easy to play.
Yeah.
And there's always things to kind of laugh about when you're doing it.
Well, yeah,
Just because of our
especially
experiences.
when it's me and you and Justin and Eric playing
Well-
it because we were all camp counselors. We all went to summer camps.
Right. Well, like the one night I taught it to Ben and
Yeah.
Colleen, and Ben loved it.
Well, he had the experience
He had
of going to
experience
summer
of work.
camps all the time.
Yes. So I think anybody who's been to camp or has at any kind of scout camp, any place that offers merit badges, it just strikes that chord. But if you like deck builders, it's a very simple deck builder. It plays quickly. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a great introduction into deck
Yes,
building.
absolutely. So I really like that one. I will play that anytime anybody suggests it. The second one that immediately drew my eye was Quirkle.
Yeah.
I adore Quirkle. I adore the thought process behind it. There's a little bit of luck involved, but at the same time, there's a whole lot of press your luck. Do I hold on to that tile? I can get 5 points out of it now, but darn it, if I can find that sixth piece I'm missing, I can get 12 points out of it.
Yeah.
But do I dare wait? Or do I play it now and hope nobody else has that sixth piece that they can immediately get 12 out of? So I love that, just all of the mechanisms involved in that game. But yeah, that would be the two I would think of right off the top of my head. Was,
Yeah, Quirkle's the one luck game that I don't mind playing because it's always like, it's almost like a reveal, like from a legacy game. It's like reveals like, I'm getting this. I
That
didn't
does
really need
not
these.
help
That's not
me.
going to help me. Okay, so why do I get to play this turn?
Where can I get
But it's
3
really-
measly
yeah.
points?
It's interesting.
Yeah, no, I love that
Okay,
one.
so that was our simple board game. So
Okay.
what is the funniest board game you have ever played?
I'll let you go first because I have an idea, but mine's not a
I had
specific game.
2 of them.
Okay.
And yeah, it's the funnest game. I'm funniest game.
Right.
I'm thinking is like the experience
the
you're
experience.
having when you played the game.
Yes. 'Cause-
And there was 2 of them.
okay.
One just recently, and that would be Sakura.
That was
with
the first thing
the
I
2 of
thought
us,
of.
Jeff and Daniel, and we'll get into that because it's part of the CabinCon.
Yes.
And then the other one was Galapagos. Multiple times
Oh
of difference
my
of
gosh.
Galapagos.
I didn't even
New
think
Year's
about that
Eve
one.
with no power, with with our phone lights on above water bottles illuminating the table,
Yep.
and then your one of the office
My office parties
that you had
during
that we
COVID.
played.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I got shot
yes.
both times
You did.
out of the blue for no reason, just saying like, guys, you don't have to worry about me. I have my own food and water.
And
Take
then-
me out, and then they just shoot me for it. It's like going, how did I deserve this? I'm trying to not take anything from you. I had it myself.
Oh, those games were hysterical.
Yeah, if you've never played Galapagos, it's just it says on the front it's a cooperative game until the food runs out.
Yep. It is.
Then
it
it's
is-
every man for himself.
It is. It absolutely is. It's a 12-player game. So it plays a lot of people, which is great at party situations. And both times, that's kind of, it was New Year's Eve one time. And another time I had like 10 people over from work in the middle of COVID. It was just our tight-knit group who all had to work in the office anyway. So it's not like we were exposing anything new. We were just trying to lighten the mood a little bit of COVID. So we
Yep.
were having a game night. And we played it with people who have never played this kind of game. Oh my gosh, that was so hysterical. Because what was it? Chrissy tried to shoot somebody else somebody tried to shoot Chrissy and she had the boomerang shield and it ended up shooting you. And
No. I think Chrissy tried shooting me, and I had the shield and put it down.
Oh.
But when you use the shield, it goes away.
okay.
And then Jim turned around, knowing I had it. He's like, "Can I shoot him now?" I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, it was so funny. Okay, yes. And the first one I thought of was Sakura because that was so recent. And oh my gosh, we laughed so hard at that game. So,
So we'll get into that.
yes, we'll get into that one.
Anything else?
No, like I said, that was the only thing I could think of, but Galapagos definitely should be on that list.
Yep,
Absolutely.
okay. And the last one I got is games that had high hopes for, games that you had high hopes for, but let you down.
This
I'll
one
let you
was
go first.
hard because very rarely am I disappointed in a game. that I had high hopes for. The only one I could think of right off the bat, and I've played it again since, and the second play was much better. But the first one that came to mind was My Father's Works. Only because, again, I'd heard such good things about it, and it looked so neat. We got it secondhand, but I still paid a decent price for it. I still paid over like $70 for the silly thing. But the first time playing it, I don't know. Like I said, there was that disconnect of the app reads part of it, and then you're expected to read the other part. And it wasn't even private stuff. It was story stuff you had to read out loud to everybody.
Yeah.
But yet the app read half and you read half, and that was a big
that part
disconnect
did
for
not
me.
make sense to me.
But then I just couldn't make anything work. I had a very frustrating game, and we've played it since, and I actually won the second time we played it. It's still one of those, though, that I'm still not 100% sure I like it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's one that your choices you make
Have
ramifications down the road in the game.
And not just for you, but for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's not cooperative.
No, it's not.
So if somebody decides to be selfish now and doesn't participate in what the group has to do as a whole to save something, i.e. the bank, it goes away, and the rest of the game is affected by that choice. So it's a very odd.
Because, as the maps change, that bank is no longer there.
Right. It changes the entire layout of the town in future generations, which is very thematic. But at the same time, I don't know. I just had a hard time with it, and it was the only thing I could think of right off the bat. But I have a feeling with more plays, maybe it'll get better. I don't know. But that was the first thing I thought of.
Mine was a Cooperative Sunday game. It was Tales from the Loop.
Oh, yes. I forgot about Tales from the Loop.
It sounded like a neat concept. I mean, it sounded
did.
extremely interesting, and we got that first play in, and we're like,
oh, we fought that first play so bad.
What are we doing? So I figured I'd sit down and actually try and watch the series and make it make more sense.
I was out after 5 minutes. I couldn't even watch the first episode.
Yeah, I made it through the first one and made it about a third of the way through the second one. I was like going, what?
You're still lost.
Yeah. I'm like, what is going on? So, but yeah, and the game we played it maybe twice.
I think we played it twice, and both times.
And both times we just, when we finished, we're like going, we didn't do anything.
And it wasn't even just us. It was Doug and Sarah, too.
Yes, I know. That's why I said it's with the Cooperative Sunday.
Well, no, I know. But I mean, I was saying it wasn't just us that thought this.
Yes.
Because we even asked both of them afterwards, what did you think? And both of them were like, I mean, I'll give it another shot, but
We was like, no.
So
none of us have really, because we didn't feel like we could do it. We were kind of hemmed in. We could not do anything that the game was asking us to do.
Yeah.
And would lose it every time. We'd just go overrun with everything.
Yeah. It was not an enjoyable experience
no, it wasn't.
at all.
And I was looking forward to having something that was really cool, really co-op-y, and just this whole new type of world to go into, and it
just didn't pan out. No, that's a good one.
Both games were absolutely horrible for me, I think.
I think I had blocked that one out completely because I'd completely forgotten about that game.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so that's my 4 questions. So if please comment on the YouTube channel.
So just to recap, what was the best game you ever played? And it can be an experience, obviously. Favorite simple game you never get bored of? Funniest board game you've ever played, again, can be an experience, not a specific game.
All these could be really experiences.
Well, that's true.
So.
And games that you had high hopes for but let you down.
New releases.
Video releases. Well,
okay, so first of all,
it has started.
But before we get to that, last episode, somehow this entire segment got deleted. So,
it did, didn't it?
It did, yes. So last episode, we announced, not that any of you heard it, that Playing Through Our Collection episode 79 came out, which was another Go Back episode. And Bear Mountain Camping Adventure, the rules breakdown and playthrough came out.
Just in case you haven't been following the YouTube channel.
In case you haven't noticed it on YouTube, those are out. The sad thing is, episode 80 of Playing Through Our Collection we're not even done playing the games yet. Things have gotten very sidetracked.
Yeah. Well, we had a little bit of a a trip in there.
Well, a little mini vacation. We've had a top 100. We've been trying desperately to get filmed.
And I've
We've
been working late.
And we're going into tax season. Oh, late does not even begin to explain it. So anyway,
Well, your late is like my lunch hour, but
it's still 10 hours. I'm still exhausted when it's over.
anyway, so now our top 100 has started.
Yes.
We have 191, 90 to 81, and 80 to 71 is out.
And by the time this releases, 70 to 61 will be out because I'm going to release that
So
tomorrow.
catch up and comment in those. Let us know what you think of it, or
where some of those games would rate in your top 100.
yeah.
And we've had a few comments on them already.
Mm-hmm.
I did have one, and I don't remember which one it was in, but somebody commented that Quadropolis was one of his favorites.
Yeah, I seen
it
that.
did not get enough love. And what was the other one he said that didn't get enough? It wasn't Quadropolis. It was
No, I thought it was
the Italy one.
the Italy one. Oh, Cinque Terre.
Cinque Terre.
Cinque
That one did not get enough love. And I
However it's
agree.
pronounced.
And I completely agree. It does not get enough love.
Yeah.
But there were a few comments, and that somebody agreed with me on my opinion of what is the name of that game? You love it.
Oh, Galaxy
Yes,
Trucker.
Galaxy Trucker.
David agreed with you.
Yes.
David. Man, buddy. Throw me under the bus.
I don't like that game.
I love that game.
It'll be a great game for the 24. I'm not going to be in it.
It's just
I think
hilarious, controlled chaos.
It will be a great game for the 24.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to be in it.
It's like, how fast can you build a ship to watch it be destroyed when the game actually starts?
Yes. Okay. Anyway, but those are all the videos that are out so far. My plan is to release the top 100s every Wednesday and every Sunday, so long as we get the rest of them filmed on time.
Games we back. We actually have one. Well, I did.
Yeah,
But we discussed it on the way back from CabinCon,
we did.
and I backed it just the other day.
We
And
did.
that is Formaggio. This is the follow-up to Fromage.
Mm-hmm.
And we backed it because we did not back Fromage. We've played Fromage, really liked it, and
Yeah.
had wished we had. But now we can get Fromage with Formaggio, both the deluxe editions.
Yes. So we did order those.
So we did that. It ends, Kickstarter's over on April 9th.
So very soon, a couple days after this comes out.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that I don't, you probably have forgotten about that we pre-ordered was
the adventure box for
Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we did pre-order that too, and I know that was a very limited run.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it's already over. If you backed it or you pre-ordered it, I should say, let us know what you think, or if you didn't, why you didn't, provided you saw it. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a storage solution that will hold everything without box lift, hopefully, because ours currently has a decent amount of box lift on it. But I'm looking forward to what the new maps, and it came with new boards and all sorts of new stuff. I didn't.
Yeah, it has an expansion.
Yeah.
Another expansion in it.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it.
But anyway, back to Formaggio.
I'm sorry.
Formaggio, like I said, it's follow-up to Fromage, but this time you're in Italy.
Yes.
And they've added a couple new things into the game. Of course, why wouldn't they? Because it's a new
Well, sure. It's a new location.
new
a
location.
premise.
There's new contests that you're going to be playing against on the board game. You got to pair your cheese with wines at the Vigneto. I'm going to get these Italian words mixed up bad. Then you can sell cheese to restaurants along the canals of Venezia, distribute cheese across regioni of Italy.
The
Regioni, whatever. Like I said, I'm going to butcher these Italian names. Even though we've been there, I'm still going to butcher them.
Yep.
That made no sense. Anyway, deposit cheese in the banca or banca, B-A-N-C-A. Yes, there is a real bank in Italy that accepts cheese. Oh, it's in the bank. Deposit cheese in the bank.
Okay.
Those are
okay.
the 4 new quadrants
Okay.
for this game.
All right.
That's what you're going to be doing. But yep, that is Formaggio. Check it out. Like I said, it is still good until April 9th, which is Wednesday. But that actually might be the last Kickstarter we do until we find out. I mean, if you followed what's going on in the United States, you would kind of understand. I don't want to bring politics into this, so
No, but the tariffs are definitely adding an issue in the industry and a lot of uncertainty. And so we might hold off till we see how that's all going to shake out before we back anything else, at least for now. But who knows? We say that now and then something really good will come out and we'll forget all about that resolve.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
See what happens. Let's move on.
So it's now time for questions and comments.
Okay, so this week we have only one comment from our episode 84 podcast. And this was about Robot Quest Arena. This came from Jeff Knapp, our buddy from Tabletop Toolbox. Go check out his channel.
You're going to hear way too much about in the last half of this episode.
Yep. So you want to read the comment?
So Robot Quest Arena only plays 4. The 5-player setup is a Tabletop Toolbox variant, which I seem to remember him saying something about it the last thing, the last
Yeah, and that
retreat.
might have been what he
because we had 5 players
had at the BGI game day.
Yeah. Anyway, the new expansion goes up to 7, if I recall, which the Dean, I can't remember the guy's name now, did have all the expansions. So that's probably why we were able to play 6.
And with his last comment there, it looks like he plans to beat me up some more in the game.
I'm sure we'll play it at some point since you've truly got it. Yep, yeah, probably.
He just likes picking on the pink pug.
He does.
That's why the BGI game was more funner.
More funner? More fair?
More enjoyable because I didn't have to keep looking around looking over my shoulder to see if he was coming at me.
No, that was a fun game though. I have to admit, because nobody was touching anybody until I threw the first punch, and then it was
in the BGI game.
Yeah, in the BGI game, I threw the first punch, jumped through a portal, and from then it was just game on.
Oh, I figured it was coming though, whether you had started or not. It was coming.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, so let's move on. Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Well, at least for now. We're still looking for a rename of this segment.
I liked that name when we were doing 4 games. It was perfect.
Well, today we got a lot of games, but
today we have 13 games.
And we're not going to go deep.
No. Get a little bit about our play and our initial thoughts.
Well, yeah.
Leave it at that. Because a lot of these, this is the first time we've ever played them, and some of them may be the only time we ever play them.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So the first game we played, we arrived on Thursday afternoon. It was just us and Jeff because Daniel was not able to join us. And just go back, because we really did not talk about the fact we were even going to take this trip. We'd planned to, but we just never did. We took a 4-day weekend trip to Shenandoah Valley. Our good friend Jeff Knapp has a cabin out there. Once a year for the last couple of years, we have gone out there just to kind of have a little mini CabinCon.
Yeah, and now we're probably going to have to find a different cabin.
Yeah, we're still going to continue the tradition.
Yeah.
However, he's going to probably not have the cabin much longer. He's already signed to sell it, unfortunately. So we're going to try and find someplace a little closer between us because it is a 10-hour drive for us.
I had a great thought, but I don't think his wife would appreciate it much.
What?
Have it at his house.
That's still a 10-hour drive for us.
I know. We talked about doing something a little in between.
And I looked, and there is actually in Charlottesville, West Virginia, somewhere in West Virginia, is exactly 7 hours for each of us.
Oh.
Or 6 hours for each of us. It's like literally the halfway point. Who knows? We'll find something. I'm sure we'll find something. But anyway.
Yeah. We'd have to make sure it's pet friendly because we can't do that without having a cat there to judge us.
Absolutely. We have to have one of the cats
a
there.
Judgmental cat.
Do you really? I don't know if I would not want to have to transport my cat 6 hours.
7 hours, you said.
6 or 7 hours, either way. Neither of our cats would be very appreciative of that.
But this is Jeff.
That's true. He might. His cats are more car friendly than ours are.
Yeah.
Ours would holler the entire way. Like the entire way.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to it. But yeah, we sat down and we played games.
We did. All right. So this year we invited Jeff's buddy Daniel to come join us. So he came up on Thursday night.
Yeah, and if you ever watched any of Jeff's stuff, he talks about Daniel a lot.
So we got there Thursday afternoon. We sat down and immediately started a game of sand. Sand is a DeVere game published in 2024, designed by Ariel oh, good
Di
lord.
Constanzo?
Constanzo and Javier
Pellizzari.
Okay.
I'm not gonna give you the artist names. You do those.
The artist was, I was just gonna skip it, but okay. Ernest Sala, and Mado Pena. I think that's
Pena is right.
Pena or Pena.
Pena.
It's Pena. Okay. Anyway, Sand is a pick up and deliver based in the desert where you are essentially having to maintain and keep track of the health of your sandworm as
It's kind
you
of like a nomad.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
kind
Where
of
you're
background.
traveling around the desert to various villages and cities, picking up various crafts, as they call them, i.e. cubes, of various colors. It's a dice. It's not dice placement per se. The dice represent the strength of the action. That's probably about the best way to say it. For example, to move on a particular path, you may need a dice strength of at least a 4. So you would use a specific action color of that portrayed a 4 on the dice.
Yeah, it's black, white, blue, and red of the dice.
Yes. So a lot of interesting mechanisms there with keeping track of which dice you have access to based on which cubes you're carrying at the time. Because if you're carrying a blue cube, you no longer have access to the blue die until you drop the blue cube off somewhere until you sell it. So, but anyway, you're picking up cubes, you're selling them at different places for money being victory points at the end of the game. Simple as that. That is a very, very high level of the object of the game. But that was Sand. That was our first play. Okay, so this is only, our third time playing
second or
this
third
game?
time, yeah.
The first time we
Yeah,
played a
third
full
time.
game, I remember enjoying it the first time we played it. We played it 2-player.
Yep.
Second time we played it, we only got about 2/3 of the game in. It got late. We called it for that night, kind of left it set up, and it sat there on the table for like 4 more days before we finally just had to put it away because we were expecting company.
Yeah.
We never did finish the game. This one was okay. You won by a landslide on this one, like double Jeff's score.
Yeah, Jeff had 96, you had 128, and I had 184.
Yeah. Again, it was okay, but I feel like I'm starting to see some of the, I don't want to say flaws, but some of the difficulties of the game. You know what I mean? Because you only get 2 actions per turn, and there's only so many rounds.
Yeah.
But yet half of your actions, I feel like literally half your actions in the game are maintaining your worm's health. Increasing the food, increasing the water, increasing his life. I don't know. I still think it's an enjoyable game.
Yeah.
But I am starting to see a couple of minor flaws in it. So.
I think this last play was like my favorite play of this entire.
Well, sure, because you won by
double.
Well,
it finally clicked to me. The
Oh,
first
okay.
2 plays I struggled, and that one that we didn't play all the
whole
way
thing?
through, I was just having wrong ideas, wrong things after everything
a lot
I
of
did.
mistakes.
Everything I did was just pushing
Mistakes
me
were
back
made.
farther and farther and farther. But this one, I zoned in on the board, made sure I got the upgrade people turned over, so I had those powers.
Yeah.
And lucked into that I had that one village there was taking white and blue cubes for you, and you get a yellow cube, a higher thing. And I had white and blue cubes all over the place around me. So
Yeah.
I was like, go down, pick it up, go up, turn it in, get a yellow cube, go down, pick more up, sell that yellow cube. But I was selling it for the least amount, but I was getting it on my board to get more powers. I wasn't going to the top to get the most out of that, which...
And that is a good balance because as you sell your cubes, whichever color they are, they're going onto your board to, 1, give you powers, but 2, push you toward even bigger powers.
Yes.
And yes, you're not getting the most money out of them, but you're getting other benefits early on. So that is a good point.
And it helps unlock your worm so
Yep.
that it costs less and less stuff
Yes.
to
And that's
be able to move.
yeah, that is the big thing is you
Yeah.
got to get that worm unlocked.
Yeah, and I was just
upgraded.
getting the top price for the basic resources
Yeah.
and getting low bottom for the big heavy one, the expensive ones.
Right.
But I was going up that track as well. So I was like
Yeah.
going, I think I got
You
something
got
going.
a
I
pretty
was
good-
moving within like 3 or 4 different spots, and
Yeah.
I stayed there
Yeah.
the entire game.
You got a pretty good system going. Now there is the alkalite action as
That
well.
we still can't figure out.
We've 3 games. We've never used it ever.
No.
And supposedly it's a very powerful action, but we've yet to use this action.
I think because we haven't really figured it out.
Well, I think I understand it.
Mhm.
I've just, 1, I forget about it. 2, I don't know. It's never seemed, it
'Cause
puts it into your storage unit,
Mhm.
so you can't do it till you have a storage house.
Mm-hmm.
We've never used that storage house because movement is so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to drop stuff off and take stuff out of the storage house, you have to move to its location.
Mm-hmm.
So we've just
that's-
never used it.
The one place I was selling my stuff at is where my storage stuff was
Yeah,
at.
that
So if I
helps.
could have figured out how to use that alkalite action, I could have kept sending stuff up there and just
Yeah, we
I
need
could
to
have camped
play
out
it
there
again.
and just kept buying and just kept going up in points.
Yeah.
But
We need to play that one again and figure out the alkalite action. I want to figure out why do people say that's such a powerful action.
Yep.
But anyway, that was our first game of the con. That was Sand. Greg started off on a good leg.
yes, I
Anyway.
did.
Then after that, Daniel still had not gotten there. He actually arrived halfway through this game. We sat down and played our second game of Scholars of the South Tigris. Okay, so Scholars is one of the Shem Phillips McDonald games. And is McDonald? Yes. Yes, S.J. McDonald.
Sam McDonald.
Sam McDonald, thank you. I could not remember his first name. Put out by Garfield Games, released in 2023. This one is like the other South Tigris games. It is a dice placement game. You're doing actions based on the strength of your die, only this one adds in a color wheel to boot. So you've got not only the strength of your die, but the color of the die matters. You've also got workers of various colors that will allow you to change the color using basic 6 color patterns of the color wheel. Your 3 primaries and then your 3 alternates. So
That was the part I was having trouble with.
was the color wheel. Yeah. I feel like if you don't have a really solid grasp on the color wheel, which, I mean, it was only the 6, you know, red and blue make purple, green and yellow, or not green and yellow, I'm sorry, blue and yellow make green, and red and yellow make orange. It was the basic color wheel,
Yes.
so it didn't add in all the shades.
It was kind of the colors of the rainbow.
But it was one of those where you could add a white worker to a die in order to make it a 6, automatically a 6. Didn't matter what the number was. But you
But that was
used
still
a white
white
worker.
die, though, right?
To a white die, yes. You add a white worker to a white die, it made it a 6, and then you add and mind you, there were different colored die as
Yeah.
well. But then you add a different color worker to that same die, it now changed colors. So it would change it to a red, or it would change it to a blue, or to a yellow, or whatever. So yeah, it was very interesting the way the whole color mixing worked.
Yeah.
But once you got the color you needed, then you could do the action you needed. And you would put those dice and workers down on a specific action. The ultimate goal in this is to pick up various transcripts and translate them from something into Arabic.
Yeah.
Throughout the game, you are hiring various translators and you're making them available to everybody. Everybody can use them. You want everybody to use them because each translator goes into a specific office at the bottom of the board, for lack of a better term. Goes into an office at the bottom of the board. And then as they're used, you are, 1, paying the person who employs that translator a coin to use their translator. But 2, you are putting a gold piece, because you have to pay the translator too. You're paying the translator a piece of gold. And then when that translator has the gold quantity depicted on the office they're in, 1, 2, or 3, they retire. When they retire, all the gold goes back to the supply. The translator goes back to the person who employed him in the first place, and it slides under the board and becomes an extra action space. So those translators are very powerful in that aspect.
Yeah, that part is like the first one in the South Tigris.
Wayfarers,
yes.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. Agreed. So, but making those translations work, because, for instance, and I'm totally going off memory here, I don't have any pictures in front of me to go off of. You might have somebody who goes from Sanskrit to oh gosh, now I'm
Persian.
forgetting all Persian. There you go. You might have somebody who goes from Sanskrit to Persian, and then somebody else who goes from Persian to something else, and then somebody else who goes from that to Arabic. So you might have to employ 3 translators to make it work. So you're paying out the potentially 3 coins unless you happen to own one of unless you happen to employ one of those translators, and then 3 gold because you have to pay them gold. It's a really interesting concept to try and make all these translations work. Meanwhile, you're trying to potentially collect sets of the different where the transcript started.
Yeah.
So maybe I need a set of Sanscripts in order to get the points I want. I really like this one. I like his games anyway. I think the South Tigris games are one of my favorite set out of the groupings. I love that dice placement aspect of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is Scholars of the South Tigris. This was a good one. I lost this one. I still have not won this game.
Did you? Yep. Oh yeah, it was.
Jeff
it
came
was
back
a tight
and won
game,
this
though.
one. It was 37, 35, 32. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
do
tight
like
one.
this one. I think this is, of the South Tigris ones, I think this is the one that I like the most.
Yeah.
And it's the meatiest one, I think.
I think
There's a
Adventures
lot
has
of-
that potential. We need to explore Adventures
It's
more.
well, yeah. But this one is,
Inventors.
Adventures is pretty fun, though. But I think this is the one that I really like.
Yeah.
I know Adventures I really like, though, too. But I
Yeah.
this one's like a huge puzzle. It's like going, okay, how am I going to get that to be transcribed, and which way am I going, though? But also getting myself up those tracks too at the same time.
Yeah,
right?
because this has 6 tracks you have to climb. Again,
It gives you
it gives you
things.
bonuses at various times, but it also
Gives you instant stuff too
it's
when you go up
instant
that
stuff
track.
as you climb. Bonuses every round or every couple of rounds, essentially. Yeah, I don't know. I like the tracks, but there are 6 different ones. You got your red, yellow, blue, but then you also have the harder ones to climb. The ones that you
The
have to
purple,
have
orange, and
extra
green.
workers
Yep.
for, and those purple, orange, and green. So I do like this one very
Yes.
much. Okay. As I said, Daniel arrived halfway through that game, and then that evening after dinner, we got in a game of SETI. Now, this was a first for the 2 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of us had ever played it. We'd been curious about it. So Jeff brought it, or Daniel brought it. I don't remember which.
Jeff brought it.
Jeff brought it. Okay. They had both played it quite a bit. Jeff taught us the game. I was very proud of the fact I kept up with Daniel. I was very close. I had a hard time getting some of the alien stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
I could not get onto those tracks, and all of my bonus cards required that I did. But for some reason, I just couldn't get myself over there. All right, so this one, again, super high level because I do not remember a lot of the specifics of this game. I loved the experience of playing it. I definitely want to explore it some more. But for the life of me, I cannot remember a lot of the specifics of it. So at the beginning of the game, you are setting aside 2 alien races on the side of the board that will come into play later in the game once they are discovered. But the basic goal of the game is you are rotating around the sun in the middle of the solar system, going to different planets to basically set up what look like little satellite dishes. To, again, try to talk to extraterrestrial life out there, which you do eventually find, and they come into play later in the game. I thought it was pretty interesting the way you're moving around, and when certain things happen, the whole board spins, or just part of the board can spin.
Yeah.
The center of the board spins more often than the middle ring, and then, again, representing a tighter, I want to say year, and that's not the right word, a tighter spin. Like, Mercury spins around the Earth much faster than I want to say Pluto, but than Pluto does, rotates. Thank you. A much tighter rotation around the sun. And then the middle planets rotate a little bit slower. Earth, Mars, they rotate a little bit slower than Uranus and Neptune do.
Orbit. That's what we're thinking.
Orbit.
Of. Orbit
Thank
around
you.
the sun.
Thank
I was like
you.
going, rotation isn't the word she's looking for, but I'll figure it out while she's talking.
Thank you. It represents a tighter orbit around the sun. So eventually that outer ring will move, and it literally moves everything at once. So I loved the way they set this board up. I thought it was very ingenious with the 3 different layers and the sun in the middle. And Jeff had this little bitty light that sat in the middle of this opaque sun, and it just kind of glowed. So it really made it kind of neat. It would be almost sad to play it without that.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what
he
I
said
mean?
he's figured out an upgrade for
He
that.
has figured out an upgrade, so we may have to make
So-
sure we get one from him if he can pull it off. Anyway, so that was a super interesting game. I definitely want to play it again.
Yeah, that one I
You
struggled through
struggled
this
with.
whole game.
And
I
I-
just couldn't really. I don't know if it was like I wasn't understanding some of the things you can do or what it was,
Maybe,
because
I
I
don't
mean
know.
there was a big difference from
There was a-
first to me.
Yeah.
Because Jeff had 164 and I was at 112. I mean, I
Right.
scored points and I actually got on the alien tracks. How I got up there, I don't remember how.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I did to be able to get up there. But like I
Well-
said, I was struggling to figure this one out.
I know I struggled with this one for the first 5 or 6 turns. And then something clicked. And Daniel and I were neck and neck the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up at 142, 140. He did top me by 2 points, but I was pretty proud of that considering I'd never played and he had.
Yeah.
And the fact I struggled so much with it at the beginning until something clicked.
Apparently. Because,
yeah.
you guys left me in the dust.
Yeah. Okay. That was the end of Thursday. Friday morning, we got up, we had breakfast, all the normal stuff. And then we wanted to start something light.
Remember when we said we'll get to it? Here
Well,
you
we're
go.
there. We're there. Okay, so we are in the middle of playing the S's. And you're going to see a lot of S's on this one because sand was part of, and you'll see, we'll talk about all of these on upcoming Playing Through Our Collection videos as well. So we'll actually show you stuff there. So sand was on there, scholars, those was all part of that reason we took those. So this one was Sakura. Sakura was one we picked up at Half Price Books many, many years ago.
Yes.
We've only played it once up until now, and it was okay. And Jeff said he had played it once before, and it was okay. We played it this time, and spoilers, it's not enough to make us keep the game, but oh my gosh, this was hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those plays that makes me say it's not about the game, it's about the people you play it with. So Sakura is just a little bitty game, plays like 6 to 7 players, I think.
Yep. It's by Reiner Knizia. Although you didn't say
I didn't
where
even go with
SETI
SETI.
was
Oh my
everything for
gosh.
SETI, though. But
I didn't. Okay, so we'll back up 2 seconds. SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, was designed by Tomas Kolek?
Thomas Hollick.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm not doing the artist. I'm sorry. You can figure that out. Published by Czech Edition Games in 2024. Sakura, back to that now, 2018. Reiner Knizia. Artist Kevin Hong. See, I can pronounce that one. By Osprey Games.
Those ones from SETI aren't that hard.
Go for it.
Andre Hardini, Otto Kandrea, Jeff Kroos, and Jacob Lang.
That looks like
Oh,
Jiri.
Oh, Yuri Kroos.
Jiri, okay.
Yuri Kroos and Jacob Lang.
Okay. The print is really small because there's so many of them in the box.
Anyway, back to Sakura.
Okay, back to Sakura. $95 on Noble Knights, really?
Yeah, but I think you can find it.
We bought it at
someplace
Half
else,
Price
too.
Books for like $10.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But it's out
Anyway,
of print, too, now.
That's true,
And
it
it's
is
a
out of
Reiner
print.
Knizia game.
good point. Okay. So Sakura. Little bitty game. The idea with this one is there is a single path through the gardens and you are following the emperor around. You are playing an artist, following the emperor around, painting his portrait or painting the portrait of the pictures that the flowers he's looking at. That's the concept of the game. Everybody has a hand of cards, and after you play your turn, you immediately draw your hand back up. Simultaneously, everybody is picking one card out of their hand and playing it face down, and then simultaneously, everybody turns over their card. Cards are resolved in numeric order, lowest to highest. The symbols on the card dictate what happens. So this is almost programming, but not quite.
It's a little bit like Cold Express.
A little bit, yeah. Only you're not doing 5 or 6 actions at once.
Right.
You're doing
You're
one
just
card
one.
and resolving,
Yes.
which is plenty.
Yes, because if you had to do that
Oh
whole
my
thing, it
God.
would be insane.
That would be nuts. Okay, so different symbols on the card indicate
We
how
could put
far.
that variant in.
Oh no. Different symbols on the cards indicate what happens. How far do you move forward? How far can you move somebody else, the last person in line or the first person in line? How far do they move? Because you can move other people's pawns. if you have the right symbol on the card. How far does the Emperor move, or does he move?
Mm-hmm.
The idea being you want to get...
Which way does the Emperor
Which
move?
way does the Emperor move? Yes. So the main idea being you want to be as close to the Emperor as possible when he stops to look at the cherry blossoms. That happens 4 times during the game. And no matter how far he is supposed to move, he will always stop and enjoy the fragrance of the cherry blossoms when he comes across them, all 4 spots. And you just have to hope that you are the closest to him without bumping into him. And this is where the hilarity comes in, because poor Daniel.
Okay, let's do these scores things here first. So
Okay.
when you start the game, you start with 5 points. You automatically start with 5 points. That way, if you bump into him before you can score any points, you have points to lose.
Right.
The end game, you had 13.
Uh-huh.
I had 11.
Right.
Jeff had 7, which means he scored 2 points. Daniel had 2, which means he may have scored some points, but he never kept those points, and he lost points. He basically went in the hole in this game.
Yes. In one turn, I think he ran into the Emperor 2 or 3 times.
Yes, twice. He ran into the Emperor because I think it was because of somebody's movement.
Somebody's movement forced him to move, or I don't
something like
remember.
that, or it moved the Emperor back or something
and
like
it
that.
bumped into him, and then his card moved him forward, and then bumped into him again.
And when you bump into the Emperor, you have to move back 3 spaces. Not 3 spaces, but 3 open spaces.
Yes.
So you could go back, if there's a 4-player game, you could end up 9 spaces away.
Something like that, yeah. Oh, it was hysterical.
And then he got bumped back those 3, and then on his card says you move 3, so which put him back in front of basically hitting the Emperor again, and had to go back and lose those points. And yeah, it was insane.
We were cracking up. Yeah, it was fun. We had a great time with this play. It's still an okay game.
Yeah, it's still an okay game, but it's hilarious to play.
That was probably one of the most hysterical plays.
It's
we'll
one we
ever
said we
have of
might
it.
throw on the Extra Life 24-hour marathon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it plays 6 or 7 players easily around a table. It doesn't take up any
How
table
could you imagine
space.
that 6 players? Oh, geez.
Oh, we have to make that work.
Yep.
Somehow. That would be hysterical. Okay. Anyway, after we finished laughing at that one, we set up Galactic Cruise. Jeff taught us the game while Daniel had to take care of a little bit of work stuff. And then when the timing worked out perfect, he wrapped up his conference call right as Jeff was finishing the teach.
Yeah.
And we sat down and played Galactic Cruise.
And those 2 have played this game a bunch.
They have both played this game, so there was that going in. I actually had a good showing. I came in second. Mind you, Jeff, and I was actually in first place prior to final scoring. Jeff had a lot of final scoring. I did not.
Yeah.
A lot of end game stuff, and I did not. At least not as much as he did. But, all right, so Galactic Cruise is one of the new hot games. We've got our copy. We did finally get a play in of that last night, though, so we have played our copy of it. But
yeah, last night it clicked.
it did. Yes, it definitely clicked for you. Whatever. Anyway, so Galactic Cruise, you are operating, well, first of all, back up. Released in 2025, came out this year. Designed by TK King, Dennis Northcott, and Colton Thompson.
Colton Thompson.
Thank you. Art by Ian O'Toole. Published by Kinson Key Games. Okay. So all the technical stuff is out of the way now.
Yes.
So, Galactic Cruise, you are operating a space cruise line. Same concept as a normal cruise line, but in space. You are building out your rockets with various activities for your guests to do. You are launching those rockets to various otherworldly planets. Yeah, where they can go and be entertained. Meanwhile, you are also trying to do your advertising to people to get money. You are trying to, what are some of the other actions? Now I'm drawing a blank. We just played this last night.
You're building your ship.
Well,
You're
I said
getting
that, yeah.
It's mostly just getting the resources, how to get
That's
resources, how to build the ship, getting the parts to build the ship.
That's true. Okay, so
getting
yeah,
your
that's a good
scientists
point.
out, getting cards to be able to play, to be able to do extra stuff,
Yeah.
getting special powers at the top of the board, all to
Yes.
build your cruise to make the cruise successful.
This is essentially a worker placement. 6 worker spots on the board, 12 total actions. You take 2 actions per turn. Any number of things, like you just explained. Getting resources, getting your cogs out so you can get more
Yes.
actions. You have more availability to actions and special upgrades. Getting cards, which have extremely powerful actions on them. A lot of them do. And just single-use stuff. Getting your rockets built, getting the stuff for those rockets. It's an enjoyable game.
Mm-hmm.
I've thoroughly enjoyed both plays of it, even though I haven't won it yet. I was so close on that. I was so proud of myself for being in first at the end of the game prior to final scoring. I was proud of myself for that, but he still beat me by 30 points.
Yeah, he had 185. I had 139.
Yeah.
But I went into the game saying, I'm just going to explore this game
Yeah.
and try and figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's
And you
pretty much
did.
what I was doing. There were some frustrating parts to that part, though, but
Yeah.
just seeing you guys shoot up everything, I'm going,
Yeah.
whatever,
Daniel and
I'm
I
just exploring.
Daniel and I, once again, were very close. 158 for me, 154 for him. So I beat Daniel. I was happy with that.
I just got my revenge last night.
Yeah, whatever. But very enjoyable game. We will probably do more on this one in the future, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. I have a feeling this is one that we'll see a lot more play on our table.
Yeah.
So, all right. After that, we broke out another S game. We played Sagrada. Sagrada is a dice placement game. Was released in 2017 by Floodgate Games, designed by Adrian Adamskew and Daryl Andrews. Art by Peter Walken. Wow, where would I get an S from? Peter Walken. All right, so Sagrada is, oh my gosh, I taught this one because this is one of my favorites. This is a dice placement game where at the start of every round, you play 10 total rounds. At the start of every round, you're pulling 2 colored dice out of a bag per player plus 1. You always have that last one left over because, even the last player has to have a choice. So you are picking 2 dice from that set in a snake draft fashion and putting them onto your player board. Your player board is a 4x5 stained glass window. There are certain rules to placing these dice, though, so it can't be as simple as just grabbing one and putting it out. There are rules. You cannot place 2 dice of the same color. There are 5 total colors. You cannot place 2 dice of the same color next to each other. They can be diagonal, though. You cannot place 2 dice of the same number. Standard 6-sided dice, so 6 different numbers. You cannot place 2 dice of the same number next to each other, though they can be diagonal. There are, and if that wasn't hard enough out of a 20 dice window, the windows have different complexity. Some of them you can put any color or number you want there. That's a 3-dot at complexity for the most part. Then there you get up to the 6-dot complexity that almost every window requires a specific color or number. Not both, thank goodness. But, so different complexities. You also have out a couple of endgame goals that you get extra points from. Everybody has a personal goal that you get points from at the end of the game. And then there are a couple of rule breakers out there too, 3 of them that you can use throughout the game periodically. But you got to pay for them, so you got to use them sparingly. I have always loved this game. It is a neat puzzle, and I'm always so proud of myself when I can get the entire thing finished without having to throw away a die.
Yeah, and it's CabinCon. Daniel is the only one who actually finished his board.
Yes. I was so upset with myself. I could not get mine done. But I think, who won this one? Daniel won this one. 74 points. So, yeah, I came in second at 62, you at 59. Jeff, this did not click with.
Yeah,
he
did
had
not
47.
click with him. Yeah, he was having trouble with this one.
Yeah. So, but Daniel seemed to really like it, and I'm glad. So, yeah, it was a good one. But that has always been one of my favorites. After that, we played Brian Boru, High King of Ireland. This is one that Daniel brought with him.
Mm-hmm.
This was published by Osprey Games, designed by Pierre Sylvester, art by Deidre DeBarra. Deidre DeBarra.
I can deal with that.
Yeah.
Came
Okay,
out in
so-
2021.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I did forget that part. This is one. How do you explain this one?
This is an odd trick-taking game.
Yes. I'll let you explain this one. This one clicked with you way more than it did me.
This is one. Okay. You have cards. I think it's 7 cards you get.
Yes, I think so.
So you have 7 cards, and there's only 3 different types of cards. There are yellow cards. No, there's 4.
4.
There's your yellow cards, your red cards, your blue cards, and your gray cards. They all have a number value on it. And at the bottom, well, at the top is your reward if you get the trick. The bottom is your reward if you don't make the trick. So you're going to get a reward no matter what. So what you do is somebody is going to play a card. Say Katie plays a red 12. And now everybody needs to play a red card or a gray card. And if you play a gray card and the number is higher than Katie's 12, and it's the highest one at the end, you win that trick.
Well, if you want to beat them, you have to play that. You can throw
Right.
in.
Yeah, you can
always
throw off. Yeah, you can throw off.
You
But
don't have to follow suit.
right. But whoever wins gets what's on top of the card, and usually it's a city, because whoever, like Katie's played the red, so she's going to say we're playing for this city right here. Whoever wins the trick gets to take control of that city. They'll put their little cube out on that area. Everybody else will get the reward at the bottom card, which could be you get to go up in the marriage track to
It depends.
to get married, where you'd get another power from
Right.
that person.
The color of the card played into the action that was on the card. Like
Correct.
yellow was marriage.
Yellow was
the
marriage. Red was
the
battling the Vikings. The
and the
blue was
the
the
church.
church. Yes.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if your card was yellow and you lost, you can go up so far on the marriage track, or you could get coins. Coins is always good to have. Or if you had a red card and you lost, now it's going to give you numbers of axes. Axes means you get it. You went to battle against the Vikings and you took out that many Vikings, so you'd stack them in there. The church is the same way, but it gives you crosses. It'll gives you your representation, I guess, or your what is the word I'm looking for? Your standing in the church, I guess.
Sure.
So whoever has the most crosses would win in that one. So what these do, though, is at the end of the round, whoever is the highest on the marriage track gets to marry a person. That's going to give you a special power that you can use. The Vikings, if you have not battled any Vikings and there are Vikings left, you're going to get penalized.
Shall we point out I am the only person that happened to? And I
Yes,
did
we
not
know.
have a single red card in my hand that
Yep.
turn.
And then in the church, if you have the most influence or whatever you want to say in the church, you get a little disc that can go around your
Little ring.
a little ring that goes around one of your cities that you already have control of, and now it counts as 2 in that area. And what you're trying to do is take control of an area, and how you do that is have the most discs in the area. So those little rings kind of help, and it kind of helped me, but it still didn't make me win the game. But I thought this was really cool. I know you weren't getting it that
This
well.
did not click with
And
me.
I don't think Jeff really liked it that well.
No.
This is one that I've always been interested in playing. I had seen it at a BGI game nights a couple times. I was like, man, I really wish I could have gotten in there. Daniel did win this one,
It was close, though.
but I was only 2 points behind
Yeah.
him, and I was really working the church hard. He just had a little bit more. He was spread out a little bit more, because at the end of the game, you score the lands, because when you take control of the lands, you take the card for that land.
the tile for it, yeah.
But you have to have at least three discs in the area to take.
It
Each
depends.
area
Each had-
it would
yeah.
break if there were a certain amount of discs in there, and
Yes.
the person who had the most discs in there would get the card that's going to score you the points at the end of the game. But if somebody ties you, you still keep that tile. But if somebody has one more than you, now you have to give them the tile. Now they
Right.
have control of it.
Yeah.
For
So
their
it's-
in-game
It's
scoring.
basic area control.
Yeah. So, and then it also paid off if you were all over the place. The more
Yeah.
you spread out, the better it was for you, too,
Yeah.
because you scored points that way, too.
That was the whole of my points.
Yes. Yeah, because you could
I
not
didn't.
take
I think I
control of
controlled
an
one area that was like 3 points.
I
and
had
that
like
was it.
I was just sneaking around and getting areas and people not realizing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wait, oh, I need to go to... Greg's already got that one. What?
Yeah, I was not. This didn't click with me. I didn't. I mean, it was okay.
I liked it. I know. I've even thought about buying it when I've seen it. I've seen it hitherto, and I almost picked it up to buy it, but I didn't know enough about it to buy it. I was like, will I like it? I do like it, but I know you don't like it,
Right.
so we probably would never get it taken off the shelf. So
Yeah, probably not. But yeah,
But I know a lot of people bring this to BGI night, so
yeah.
maybe I can jump into another
There
game.
you go.
At one of those.
sounds perfect. Next time we go to one, you ought to put it out there. Hey, has anybody got this? Anybody want to bring it?
Oh, I know who has it.
Oh, okay.
Nick has it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure Nick will bring it for you if you want him to. All right. After we finish that one up, our last game of the night, after we enjoyed some, what was that? That was lasagna night, wasn't it? Very
Yes.
good. Oh, my gosh. It was so good. Jeff's wife cooked for us. Mind you, she did not join us, but she sent food for us, so that was
Yes.
awesome. Anyway, so after some delicious lasagna, we played a game of Space Station Phoenix. This is one that Jeff has been interested in for a long time.
Yeah, he's requested us to
However,
bring it to the
yes,
last
this
two.
is the second one we've
we
brought
finally
it.
got it played.
So, and he actually won this one. He snuck in the win on this one.
Yes.
I came in a close second. Well, no, not close, but I still came in second. Anyhow, this is one where you start out powerful.
You forgot something.
I forgot something. What did I forget?
This was released in 2022.
I'm sorry. I don't even have it up in front of me.
It was designed by Gabriel Kahn, artists Martin Hoffman and Klaus Steven, and published by Rio Grande Games.
There you go. Okay. So you got it in 2022. You said that.
I'll take that from now, okay?
Okay. Anyway, so Space Station Phoenix, you start out with 9 ships. Now, everybody has the same 5, and then the other 4 are typically drafted at the start of the game. Now, we went with since this was the first play for either of them and the first time either of us had played in a while, we went with a suggested setup out of the rule book. And everybody had specific ships to start the game with based on where you were in player order. And that gave you... You also draft out your hubs from the center of your space station, which gives you your starting resources. Again, we went with the suggested setup out of the thing, but this comes with a stack of hubs that you can play. So tons of variability in the starting resources and starting hubs, and each hub has different scoring powers on them. All right, so basics with Space Station Phoenix. You are essentially a galactic race going into... I think you're going in to observe Earth or something like that. I don't remember the exact premise of the game. I'm sure it says something in here. I remember looking at it. Worker placement, blah, blah, blah. Representatives of the Galactic Council sent to Earth to build space stations to observe and perhaps interact with humanity. That's the premise of the game. So you start the game with these 9 cards that represent your fleet of ships. You have to build a space station, though. And in order to build a space station, you need metal. You can get metal off the planet, but it's at risk of the roll of the dice, which is a Yahtzee-style roll, so you can always sometimes... No, you cannot. I had a power that let me re-roll. Typically, you cannot. You have to take what you... However, the best way to get metal to build your space station is to dismantle your fleet. So your fleet cards, all 9 of them, and everybody else's fleet cards, all 9 each, represent worker placement locations. And those worker placements let you do things like going to the planet and rolling dice to harvest materials, build out your space station if you have the stuff to do it, to dismantle your ships, there was 5 total, to go up on the council boards, the tracks. That was 1. The diplomacy tracks. There was a 5th one. What was the 5th one? And then there were some specialties, like Daniel had the ship that let him get extra water and food. He had those ships.
Yeah, we all had we had our base ones, and then everybody else
had some sort of specialty.
Like I had 3 ships that would rip apart your other ships to get the metal.
Yeah, and I had 3 that let me do the extra build actions. Or no, mine were the rolling actions. Mine were the planet actions. Anyway, so there's lots of different actions you can do, but as you're dismantling your ship, as you're dismantling your fleet, those actions are slowly dwindling. You can always use somebody else's actions. You just have to pay them for it. which is fine. And it's a little more expensive if you do that. But that's the whole premise of the game. You're gaining aliens throughout the game to put into your space station. And once you do that, your actions your resources start to become more plentiful.
Right.
You're buying all of your actions with crystals. And again, you get so many crystals for every ship in your fleet. You get one per every time you have to call back, basically. You can't do anything else. You have to kind of reset. You do an income action. You get one crystal per fleet left in your ship, and then you get crystals based on the aliens you have in your ship and where they're placed. So there comes a point where you start out high with how many crystals you're getting. It dips down as you start destroying your fleet and then goes back up again as you get aliens into your space station. This is another one of those I've always really enjoyed, and this play was very enjoyable to me. This is another one I would not mind exploring further. Matter of fact, they enjoyed it so much. Both Jeff and Daniel enjoyed this one so much. Jeff bought it.
Yes, he bought it at the table. He
Yeah.
ordered it right at the table. I think even before we got done.
Before we even got done, yeah.
Because he said he was always hesitant about this because it's such an ugly-looking game. I thought it was a really cool looking game.
I think it's an interesting looking game, but there is a ton of iconography on this. And if you're just glancing at it, it looks very busy. It's not till you really start drilling down into those pieces that you see what they're doing. But this is, I mean, right up there with Race for the Galaxy.
Yeah.
The iconography is everywhere, and it's everything. You have to know what the icons mean.
Yeah, this one,
just
though,
to
you
see
can
the
kind
game.
of control how fast this game's going.
Oh,
Which I
absolutely.
did. I was going up, because the tracks you're going up, every time that action is taken, you get the rewards from the track, and the farther up that track you get, the different rewards you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I was getting, every time that my track was where you would convert resources into aliens, which is what everybody needs on their space stations to get better actions at each turn.
Yep.
And I went up that one first before anybody else realized what was going on.
Yeah, we noticed.
I was getting 2 points each
You
turn.
still didn't win it, but whatever.
But I kind of kept that game flowing to the point where I was like going, oh crap, I'm running out of time, because once I got around to 40, that ended the game. Or when the aliens got down to only 4, that ended the game. Or if somebody had built their entire somebody had built their entire station.
Yes,
then
that
the game
was the third
ended.
way.
So I was like going, I'm not doing real good on building my station though, so I'm rushing these points, which I did. I was way out in front, but I came in third. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff had 168. I came in second at 147. You had
came in
131, and Daniel had 121. Yeah, Daniel didn't quite figure it out. I think he enjoyed it. He did state he enjoyed the game. He wants to explore it further.
Yes.
But he did not quite grasp the concept right off the bat. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoy this one. I always have. So, but anyway, that is Space Station Phoenix, and that ended our Friday evening. All right, so Saturday morning, we tried to get up early. It was an earlier day. Quick breakfast, and we dug immediately into the island of El Dorado.
Which Jeff stayed up all night long learning.
He did stay up quite late learning this one, so he can teach it. This is one. Okay, so this is basically a. Oh, let me back up. Hold on, I forgot. You forgot the official stuff.
Dropped my important stuff here. Let me do that. The Island of El Dorado was released in 2018, designed by Daniel Arson. Artist by Helen Zhu, and published by El Dorado Games.
Okay, there we go. All right, so this is one where everybody has a character, and the characters, I don't remember if they had special abilities or not. I think you could have ones. Oh,
yes,
yeah,
they had
special
special abilities. Mine
okay.
I never used, but...
I didn't either. Well, no, I never used mine, not even once. I should have not, because I had the Ranger. I could shoot 2 hexes away and not take damage, but I never even used it once because I never got into the silly cave.
Yeah, I think mine came in use at the very end when you could trade, because everybody could trade resources for points or whatever, 5-1, and I could actually do it 3-1.
Oh, okay. All right, so Island of El Dorado. This one starts out with it's a gorgeous looking game.
Yes.
Starts out with a single tile in the center, and everybody starts on that tile. But you cannot start a fight for at least 2 full turns. It gives everybody a chance to get away.
Get away from everybody.
So you roll 2 dice. 1 die represents your
resources.
and the other die represents your movement, and you can choose which one's which. So if you have a roll of 5 and 2, you can move 2 and collect 5 resources from whatever tile you happen to be on at the start of your turn, or vice versa. You can collect 2 resources from the tile you start on and move 5 spaces. Moving incorporated either moving across a hex or exploring a hex. Sometimes you got nothing. You got water. You can't cross water unless you take time to build a bridge.
Yes.
That took resources. This had kind of a resource management similar to Catan.
Yes.
Your resources were cards, and each thing you did required a certain amount of food, wood, or gold, or gold, I should say. So there were wooden buildings you could build. You could build out farmhouses. You could build out your forts. You could put out your people. Everybody had 4 colonists, basically, or 4 villagers they could put out. Each one, of course, in order to put out, required a food. Thank goodness once you fed them to get them out onto the board, you never had to feed them again.
Right.
The ultimate goal of the game was in the pile of tiles, and there were a lot of tiles. In the pile of tiles, there was a
cave.
There was a cave tile. Actually, there were 2 cave tiles that represented the entrance to a cave where you had to go down to get whatever the golden chalice was called. But it had a name. I don't remember what it was.
I thought it was like the Ark of the Covenant or something.
Maybe
like
it was, yeah. But there was those in there. There were also 3 temple spaces. And when those came out, the temples got put onto the board. The goal of the game, everybody had to go and make an offering at each one of the 3 temples while avoiding your opponents, because everybody's trying to do the same thing. So you had to go make your offering at all 3 temples and then get into the cave and be the first one to get the chalice, the Ark of the Covenant.
Whatever.
If that's what it was called, yeah. Up on the surface, there was nothing else besides each other to fight. Now, mind you, you had no choice. If somebody was blocking your path and you had to go through there, you had no choice but to fight. There was no way to just nicely walk through. That bit me once. Only because I had gotten somehow cordoned off on the very edge of the board, and all of the cave entrances and all of the temples were on the other side of the board, naturally. Once you entered the cave, though, there were tiles that had tigers on there, or a bear, or different cave dwellers on there. And you, Daniel, and Greg all got into the cave. I never even got in the cave. Not once.
Me, Daniel, and Greg.
Shut up. You, Daniel, and Jeff all got into the cave.
It's like, who are you talking to?
Yeah, right. I never even got into the cave. I knew about halfway through the game there was no way I was winning this, because I was blocked off from the various temples. I had to go through other people to get to the temples, and I couldn't seem to win those dice rolls. Battle was just a simple dice roll. Simple. And there were things you could add to it if you had certain buildings built and you had villagers with you and all that kind of stuff. So there was ways to mitigate the dice roll some, or to give you more dice to roll, I should say. I mean, I enjoyed the game. I did. This was another one that didn't really click with me. I don't know if it was just because the whole concept was potentially battle.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and you don't do well with battle games.
I don't like those kind of games.
This one, I didn't feel like it was too much.
There wasn't.
I mean, you could have a lot of battle if you wanted to.
You never had to fight somebody else. I did.
I had to fight that villager.
Well, yes, but that
and
wasn't
the tiger.
another player. I had to physically fight a player because I needed to move through his space.
Right, and that was Jeff.
Yeah, and Jeff won the stupid roll.
Yes.
Anyway.
But to find, I think I liked the fact that it was
a race.
It was a race. That Jeff I mean, the three outside temples were found. The cave was found before we even found a temple yet.
Right.
So we knew where the cave was going to be at, and then the temples, 2 of the temples came out side by side.
Right.
Which was unfortunate, but
yeah,
not really. And then the other one came out, and Jeff got to the 3 temples before anybody else could, and got to that cave.
Yes. He kept dying and
came back out, and then he brought people in, and then I just kind of got to that 3rd one. While I was going to the 3rd one, Dan was like going, "Well, I don't have the 3rd one yet, but I'm going in there to get that chalice, so Jeff can't get it." And then, because when you've placed your offerings at all 3 temples and you have the chalice, you immediately win.
Yeah.
But if you haven't placed all 3 temples, the offerings at all 3 temples, and you have the chalice, people can fight you for that chalice.
Oh, heck yeah.
You could lose that chalice. But I think Daniel going in there trying to slow Jeff down and try to get the chalice before he did, is what helped me because I kind of slow rolled. I went up. I got that third offering down, came down, and then built up my defenses some more.
Mm-hmm.
Went to walk in. Jeff died again. So he had to come back out. And the
I don't
person
think he
who
won even one roll down
yeah,
there.
because the person to your right, if it's a villager in the cave that you're playing against,
Yeah.
the person who to the right rolls the dice, and then when you die, they put you on their turn wherever they want you to put you,
Yeah.
near a temple. And then Daniel was in there, and then Daniel came across the tiger,
Mm-hmm.
and as I came in, and then Daniel went out, or no, Jeff was still in there. Maybe Daniel went out first. Jeff was still in there. Then Jeff was going around just before I got ready to go, and got taken back out again. And then there was only 2 tiles left.
Yeah.
One was the villager. One was the treasure.
Or the cave dweller.
And that made Jeff so mad that I just waltzed right in, tied the villager, which meant the villager ran. I didn't die. And then I could flip the other tile, got the chalice, won the game.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
It was fun.
I liked this game.
The production was great.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic production. It was
Good
an
luck
enjoyable
finding it,
play.
though.
Yes. This was a very small company. I don't know how big the print run was of it.
Yeah.
But it was an enjoyable game.
Let's see if it's for sale anywhere.
Oh,
Well,
my
no, there
goodness.
are sales. Amazon, it says it's on Amazon for $50.
Seriously?
Noble Knights says they have it for $32. So
Does
wow.
not look like the same box he had
Which one?
on Amazon.
On Amazon?
I don't know.
No,
Anyway.
he had the deluxe box.
That's
But yeah,
true.
that says the Island of El Dorado.
Okay.
I like the game. I know you didn't, and
I mean, I was
won the
okay with
game.
it. I was okay with it. It was fine. I don't know how often it would come off the shelf, though.
No,
but
it's not one I don't think we need.
no, I don't think Jeff's getting rid of this. We could always play it again with him. He would love it.
Yeah, but I did like it. I mean, is that influenced by me winning the game? Possibly, but I think I just enjoyed the way the game was played.
I did enjoy the way the game played. I loved some of the exploration, the way the tiles came out. Daniel found himself a crop of gold. I mean, that's all he
Yep.
could get was gold. I found a
Yeah.
crop of food. All I could get was food.
Now, the one thing
You
I
know?
think that kind of makes the game broken is because when you harvest or when you roll the dice to get your resources, you get the resource of where your person's at. Or if you have built a farm or a capital, I
your
think
villagers,
it is.
you could claim where your villagers were at too.
Right. It's if you build it to where, because you put it on a point with 3 tiles touching where you put the farm.
Carcassonne style, or not
And if you
Carcassonne,
can get
Catan
your
style.
villagers built around it, if you get an area where it's all the
All 3
resources,
items,
and
yeah.
you get your villagers on, you have your choice of villagers or
Yeah.
choice of resource you need every
Yeah.
round. And I was just taking what I needed to get to that part of the game or
Right.
get to that. And when I went in, I would do the heavy on the resources to get a bunch of gold cards.
Yeah,
I had a handful of gold cards when I went into that cave, so I was like, because I'm going to do some rerolls if I need to.
that's the way to do it. So yeah, it was smart.
So, but yeah, I really like this one.
Yes. Okay. All right, we moved on to a game of Sansushi, the last of our S's that we brought with us.
Sansushi was released in 2013. Designed by Michael Kiesling, artist Sergio Chavez, Julian Delval, Harold Leski, and Andreas Roca, and published by Ravensburger Games.
Okay, so Sansushi is just a very light game. Everybody is essentially building out a garden full of nobles that are wanting to just walk through the garden and get as far into the garden as they can. That essentially is how you gain all of your points. So the game is played with a central board that has 10 different tokens out on it and then piles next to each of those 10 stacks that you refill from. Each row in the central board, there are 5 total rows, 2 tiles in each row. Each row has a color to it, white, green, blue, whatever. And then there are 8 different garden tokens, whether it be arches or statues or gazebos or bushes or whatever. So you never know what's going to come out. Now, you choose a tile based on card play. Everybody has a hand of 18 cards, or not a hand, I'm sorry. You have a deck of 18 cards. You only ever have 2 cards to choose from in your hand. A card could depict a specific garden decoration. that statue or the archway or the
Stairway,
or whatever.
fountain,
Yes. So it could
trees.
depict that, in which case you can take that item from anywhere out of the 10 on the board. Or it could depict a color or 2 different colors, in which case you have to choose one of the 4 items in those 2 color rows.
Mm-hmm.
The catch is, on your board, your board is divided up by the columns being items, being garden decorations, statues, not pillars, but statues, archways, etc. Or by color, which is what the rows are. So if you pick up a statue out of the blue column, out of the blue section of the player board, you have to put that statue into the spot that intersects the blue row with the statue column. If you can't, if you've already got something there, and it's the only time you can do this is if you already have something there, then you can flip it over and it becomes a gardener, and you can put it anywhere in the blue row or the statue column. And that allows you to build out either the row or column, however you need to do it. And then after that is done, then however you've decided to place that tile down, then you can move one of your nobles down as far as he can go, or move him down and gain points based on the row you left him in. But the rule being, he cannot go over empty spaces, and he has to end up in the row he started in. If he started in the statue row, it doesn't matter if he diverts clear over to the hedge row and back again, he has to end in the statue row. That's basically the whole concept of the game. It is a lot trickier than it sounds, though, because of the limitations of the cards you have in your hand at the time and the items that are out on the board versus what you have on your player board available, where you have spots available, I should say. I've always enjoyed this game. I won this one. Actually, it was pretty close. I had 91. Daniel had 89. You had 83, and Jeff had 80. Jeff had struggled with this one. He had a really
he
hard
said
time
that just
wrapping
burned his brain
yeah.
trying to figure it out.
Which is funny that this is such an
It's
easy
such a
game.
basic, easy game to play.
I don't know if he was just burnt out from all the heavy games the days before or what, but his little brain did not work well.
Maybe
on this
El
one.
Dorado just fried him because he lost. And
Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, that was Sansushi. Very light game. Actually, this one just had a Kickstarter up redo,
years-
basically.
about a year or
It's
so
been a
ago.
couple of years. Yeah, a little bit ago. All right, after that, we moved on to Age of Rome. Now, this is one we have and we've talked about in the past. However, Daniel brought this one.
Age of Rome is from 2023.
I was going to stop and let you
Designer is, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this though, but Vangelis Ethemiou and Antonios Yiannopoulos. And artist is Evan Scale, published by Titanium Game Studios.
Age of Rome this was our first experience with a rotating board where you are only working with the quadrant in front of you. The board is divided up into 4 separate city sections, and each city section, they're all basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
The sections themselves there's no difference in them until they start getting built out. All right, so at the start of every round, you're flipping over a card. You can use these cards if you choose to. It's not required in the game. We have always used them.
Yeah, they're like event cards.
Yeah, they're event cards, and none of them are horrible.
No.
They
A
basically
lot of them help you.
Yeah, a lot of them actually help you or help the underdog in the
Mhm.
game. It's kind of a catch-up, almost a catch-up mechanism. I think the worst one was you can only build once per round.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I can't build 2 buildings this round. All right. So the basic with the game. On your turn, you are the first turn everybody has is building. So everybody can take whatever money they have and build out one of the 5 options in their portion of the city that's facing them that round. You could build out the military building. You could build out the market. You could build out the church. You could build out the community center, the civic center, which lets you build out the Pantheon. And then there was one more, and for the life of me, I can't remember. This maybe the Senate, maybe, where you did the votes. I don't remember. 5 different possibilities of buildings. The trick here is the buildings all have 3 levels. So the first time you build that section of the building, you're only building the first level. you can't build this 2 levels in one because it takes time to build 2 levels of a building. You can't just build it and then immediately upgrade it. You got to give it a moment. You're building out what you can. After that, everybody's taking actions. You start with two workers per person, and you can gain more throughout the game. So everybody's taking their actions one at a time as we rotate around the board. And you can activate the buildings that are open in that portion of the city in front of you. So if you just built out the market, you can activate the market. If you just built out the Senate or whatever it was, you can put some votes in the middle of the table. After everybody's done with their actions, you collect income based on what's in front of you, and then the whole board rotates. And now there's a different portion of the city in front of you. You're now working on the portion of the city that your neighbor just built. Mm-hmm. You're adding to it. Now maybe you can build the second level of that building or the third level if they took it up to the second level. It gets a little tricky when you're trying to focus on one specific thing and nobody else is because they're not helping you build out those buildings. You're doing it on your own. It's an interesting game, but it is a Roman war game. I mean, it's not, I don't want to say it's a war game, but there is some take that in it. There is some quote unquote backstabbing where you can put out a token on your section of the board. That's one of the actions you can do. And then later when that token is in front of somebody else, you can activate it and do whatever your power says that action does. Like Daniel activated once on me and he stole one of my cards.
Oh, I think mine made you discard one of your cards and then I got money.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, it's an interesting game.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the play. Mm-hmm. We've played this several times now. Like I said, we do have this one as well.
Yeah, we kickstarted this one.
Yes. Yeah. So it was an interesting one. Again, I don't know that Jeff won it, but I don't think it ever clicked fully with him. How he wanted based on his, because he had the warring, he had.
Yeah, and the only reason I didn't go through that, I mean, I was down there.
Yeah. And
I could have taken over every single one of those.
Yeah.
I didn't because I needed to be in second place on those boards to get one of my in-game scoring.
Well, you were only 4 points behind him. You might have gotten more points by winning those sectors.
I know, but I didn't realize
you didn't do the math.
I did the math as second point per.
Oh.
But it's second point on just one.
Oh, you totally.
And I didn't notice that till I pulled it up to read it, and I was like going, I get 4 points instead of 12. Damn it.
All right. Anyway, that was Age of Rome. Enjoyable play, but I lost that one miserably. High score was 90. I had 65. Yikes.
I had 86. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. After that, we got in a game of Critter Kitchen. I think this one, I ended up winning this one. It was weird the way the ending happened, though, because it was interesting because it was a tie all the way around. Okay, so Critter Kitchen
was released in 2025, designed by Alex Cutler, Peter C. Hayward, artist Sandra Tang, published by Cardboard Academy.
Okay, see, are you proud of me? I even pointed at you so you could do it. I actually totally
I know
forgot
my cues.
Anyway, Critter Kitchen is one of the newest games out. Jeff has the deluxe edition, so he wanted to introduce us to it. It was interesting. So this is basically Iron Chef, the board game. You are spending turns sending out 3 workers to various food locations to gather supplies. And how much you're able to gather depends on which person you sent and how many other people sent their workers there. The little guy that goes out gets to act first, but he only gets 1 piece. Mm-hmm. Your middle guy gets 2, and I don't remember what they are. They're different animals. Mm-hmm. The middle guy gets to collect 2 pieces. However, everybody who is the little guys may have just taken everything. So if there's anything left, he gets 2, and then your big guy can carry 3 pieces. But again, he acts last. So there's usually I think in a 4-player game, we had 6 or 7 food locations out. I don't remember now how many were out. I'd have to go back to pictures.
Yeah.
But
your chefs were mice, lizards, and boars.
Okay, so the mice got to act quickly, the lizards went in the middle, and then the boars went last. Mm-hmm. And then if there were multiples of that critter there, then it went in a
Where
turn
your chef's
order
hat
that
was at,
changed.
yeah.
It changed out every round. Or it was constantly changing. It wasn't on a specific round. It was just changing based on what was happening in the game.
When you had to break a tie,
Yeah.
your hat would move.
Right. Basic concept, you are spending a couple of rounds gathering up all of your supplies, and then you have to, and you know what the cards are. Each round, a card comes out and tells you what supplies you need to make this meal, to make this dish. So you're gathering up supplies and trying to get everything you need in order to make the dish. The supplies have different numbers on them, so that is the strength of the dish or the strength of the supply. And you're trying to make a certain point value. Over 6, like 6 to 10, and then I think the highest one was over 21, would get you different amount of stars. Stars being victory points at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
After 3 rounds, you are settling up those 3 dishes and scoring all your points. And then you have another 3 rounds where you do the same thing, different cards, but trying to do the same thing. You can save so many, you can refrigerate so many items ahead of time. So you can save some items for the next round. And then you have a final 7th round where you are actually getting judged by whoever the official judge is that round. In our case, it was the raccoon. And then you have that one round to gather up the last of the supplies you need in order to satisfy what he wants. It was an interesting game. I feel like this is one that's going to take more plays for me to fully wrap my head around.
Yeah, for me, the jury's still out on this one.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I enjoyed it or what. When I was at the end of the game, I was kind of like going,
what just happened?
I was like, this is a really beautiful looking game. I mean, the artwork on it is great, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but I was like going, yeah, like you said, what just happened? What did I just do?
Right. I ended up winning this one with 33 points because, and it was tied originally with me and Daniel. And Daniel thought he won, and then I found a receipt that I had gotten, and that gave me an extra point, so that gave me the win. And then we realized, oh, wait, we forgot to score this. So I ended up getting 3 more. It was weird the way it happened. So poor Daniel went from 1st to 3rd by the time we finished with all the points.
Yeah, it was 33, 30, 30, and then I had 23.
Yeah.
And the whole fact, when you go someplace, you're just like, oh, okay, that's there. So hopefully some of those ingredients will still be there when my board gets to take its turn. But by the time my board gets to take it, there's nothing there, and I get it soup.
Yeah.
Like,
if you were in the right space.
Yeah, soup helps.
Right.
But it's not the ingredient you're looking for that's going to score you the big points.
Right. Soup does help because
it does because it
gives
you that.
It gives you some flexibility if you don't have a specific
but it doesn't score a lot of points. It allows you to get that meal out there to be able to score points because if you don't have all the ingredients, you can't score your plate for that round.
Right. And I had that happen to me in the first round.
And I was having that. And then at the end, I was thinking, oh, yeah, I've got this, I got that. And then I realized I don't have everything in front of me, and all I have are 2s.
Oh.
On almost every item I had was 2s. I mean, the end scoring, I was like going, I think I scored 12 points out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, and you guys were getting like 20, or you guys were scoring high and getting points on every single one of the categories. And I got, like I said, I missed like 4 of the categories because I missed having that thing. And it's like going, because I went to a spot that my main goal was to go get the gelato. It was a 5-point gelato. It's like, I got to get the gelato for the end game because I have no gelato. But I seen a salmon there that made Jeff mad because I picked up the salmon because the salmon was like 4 more points from the salmon that I had. I was like, well, that's going to give me more points on this plate that I need to put together. And completely missed the gelato.
Forgot the gelato altogether.
And then realizing you weren't getting any more stuff after this to do this, the chef's little bake-off or cook-off or whatever it was at the end. So,
You're still up in the air on this one.
Yeah, this one maybe need to play it again. I don't know if I'll do any better with it. It didn't really hit with me.
Okay. And that's fair. That's fair. I enjoyed the theme. I enjoyed the artwork and the supplies. Now, I
think going into this, the looks of it kind of gave me
Flamecraft,
and I was thinking Flamecraft, and no, it's nothing like Flamecraft.
It is nothing like Flamecraft.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, maybe that's why like I said, it did not hit with
you.
me.
Okay, that's fair. All right, last game of our little mini CabinCon was Bark Avenue. At this point, we just wanted something light. And, how can you go wrong when every other word out of your mouth during the game is the word poop?
And you cheer when you roll a poop.
You cheer when your dog poops. Yes. All right, so if you want
Bark
to go.
Avenue was released in 2023, designed by Mackenzie Junk and Jonathan Junk. We're guessing. I hope I
Junk.
didn't butcher that.
Junk.
Artists April Brochette and Chris Martinetti,
yes.
and published by Terra Dice Games.
All right, so Bark Avenue, the whole concept of this game is that you are walking dogs. You are starting your own dog walking business. You are trying to advertise the fact you are starting your own dog walking business. You are picking dogs up from various locations around New York City and trying to walk them for so many turns. Each one of them requires a specific length of walk. And then getting them back home again before it gets too late and the owners are not happy because, you took too long to get them back home. While you're walking, your goals are to 1, make them poop. 2, to hopefully take a picture of them and send it to the owner because then that gives you a bigger tip. And 2, 3, there was a third
Play
one.
with them
Play
in
with
some
them
way.
to give them some sort of play that they wanted, whether it is to fetch a ball, to play in water, to whatever. You want to play with them.
To go to the fire hydrant.
Yes, thank you. They want to sniff things. The dogs that need to be walked, the jobs per se, come out in a row at the top of the board. You can draft from that. Tells you where they need to be picked up from and, of course, where they need to be redelivered to.
Well, you got to go to that area to pick them up.
Right,
there,
you got to
so.
go there to pick them up. So you've got to get yourself there while you're hopefully walking other dogs in the process. So it's a balance of, because you start off being able to walk 2 dogs and eventually you can pick up your third one.
Mm-hmm.
Each dog has different qualifications. Some of them don't like to be with little bitty dogs, or maybe the little bitty dogs don't want to be walked with a giant dog or a large dog. So you've got to kind of watch that. You can always buy coffee to give yourself an extra action because, a little boost of caffeine. You can buy dog treats to make a dog happy so that they will hopefully walk faster or maybe be okay with that large dog that is walking with them. There was a lot going on in this one. I, again, lost this miserably.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Jeff kind of had an upper hand on this because he's played this a few times.
He's played this
now.
one a few times.
And he's played it with Daniel, too.
I wasn't sure Daniel had played already.
Yeah, I think he played it with Daniel. I think
Had
he
he?
talked about that on one of his weekly ratchets.
Oh, that's possible. But anyway, it was an enjoyable game. Again, another one. Do I need to own? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was an enjoyable game.
Yeah,
I
I like the game. It's
Yeah.
just half my dogs would not poop, and I had to take them back home without pooping. But then when I finally got to poop, I got all excited, and I'm like, I'm so excited that my dog pooped. How pitiful is that?
It was a fun way to end the
I got
evening.
tired of them just peeing all the time. I was like, no, don't pee anymore. Just please poop, please. It's bad when you're in the middle of a game and you're begging for an imaginary dog to poop, and it's on a roll of a dice.
Yes.
And Jeff's
Anyway,
game came with rubber poop.
It did. It has a little rubbery
Little
stuff.
squishy, rubbery poop.
Anyway, that was the last game of our little mini CabinCon. Like I said, just a fun way to end the evening. The next morning, we got up early and had to head home because, work and real life and all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So what was your favorite game of the con?
Oh, my gosh. I knew you were going to ask me this. Honestly,
Well, I figured you already had it. Jeff asked us that
he did.
at the last day.
He did. All right. So I very much enjoyed several games. I enjoyed Scholars. I loved relearning that one. I loved relearning, not so much relearning, but rediscovering Space Station Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to choose, SETI's the one I want to explore some more. That is the one that I think really stuck with me, and I really want to try and explore that one some more. Will it end up being a favorite? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely the one that piqued my interest the most out of everything. Maybe because Galactic Cruise was a lot of fun, but we have it, so I can explore it anytime I want.
Yeah.
SETI we don't own yet.
No.
We know people who do, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I had to choose, it'd probably be SETI.
I think I told Jeff Island of El Dorado is the
Yeah.
one that I really liked, because I did. But I really liked Brian Baru, but you and Jeff did not like Brian Baru,
No.
but I know Daniel liked it, and he
Yeah.
was happy that we wanted to play it. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I wanted to play this for a while.
Yeah, he'd been
And I
wanting to get that
enjoyed
off
the
his
game.
shelf for
I
a
mean,
while.
it's nothing to look at,
No.
but I enjoyed it. It's an interesting trick taker.
Okay.
Now, I mean, I can agree with, SETI, yeah, I wouldn't mind exploring it, but it's not at the top of my list.
Okay. That's fair.
And like I said, Galactic Cruise we have, and we played it last night.
And I did
it's
very much
clicking for
enjoy
me
it,
now,
yeah.
so.
I really liked it.
And
the second
Space
play of
Station
it.
Phoenix, the play of that one just reminded me how much I liked the game
That
already. So.
is such an intricate game and so much going on. I absolutely love
as
that
well
game.
with Scholars, and the fact that sand finally clicked in my head on how to play that.
Okay.
Or I just absolutely got lucky on that.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both.
Okay, this is going to do it for episode 85. If you like this episode or any of our content and haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do so by going to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, give us a rating and comments. This is how others can find the show. But in the meantime, if you want to follow us on social media just to keep up to see what we're doing, just follow the links in the show notes. There you will find links to Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, Discord, Blue Sky, and our merch shop. Or you can contact us directly at meeplesociety@mail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next one.